What is crack-a-lackin' Hardwood Knocks listeners and watchers? I am Dan Favale coming at you with a more unique exercise around these parts. This is a YouTube exclusive for Hardwood Knocks. So if you're new around here, please, pretty please, with sugar on top, we beg you, plead with you, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment, let us know what you think about the analysis, the trades, these types of videos in general. I've seen a lot of them get a ton of traction across YouTube in the past. So I'm going to provide my first real-time reaction to deals that can still go down in the NBA post-22 NBA free agency, at least after the storm of 2022 NBA free agency. Like I said, this is a little bit new for us, so let me know what you think in those comments. But please subscribe, hit the like button, let us know what more content you want to see, or if you have deals that you want to throw my way, hear me react to. Appreciate everything. Join our Discord as well. The link is in the podcast description, the YouTube description. All our social handles are right down here as well. Without further delay, though, let's get to this. The first one involves Bojan Bogdanovic to the Suns, something I actually had spoken about on this podcast, so that's interesting. So Bojan Bogdanovic to Phoenix for Jay Crowder, Landry Shamet, and a 2023 first-round pick. I don't hate it. I like the idea of Bojan Bogdanovic in Phoenix. They need an offensive upgrade, I feel like, at the 4. Someone who provides you with more self-creation than Cam Johnson or Jay Crowder, even if it comes at the expense of your defense, since you still do have Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton there. This all stands to change if you acquire Kevin Durant, although this deal could technically be folded into a larger Kevin Durant deal. I like this. I think it's too much to give up for the final year of Bojan Bogdanovic's contract. Let's not overthink a guy who's a dead-eye shooter and can pull up a little bit off the dribble. He's older, not the best defender, though. He can hold his own against certain 4s. There's still a chance that you'd want Cam Johnson in closing units over him, though, depending on the opponents. I don't know that you should need the I would say you need to figure out a way to probably keep Jay Crowder or this first-round pick here. And I don't know how Landry Shamet is going to be viewed by Utah. He can give you some very, very, very secondary ball handling and creation. And if you use him in the right way, coming off screens, he can get really microwavy from beyond the arc. Maybe you don't want him on his extension, but it's really short for about mid-level money. I think that's useful to a Jazz team. Just have shooting. Whatever product you're going to roll out next season, surround yourself with shooters. So can you construct this deal with Dario Saric instead of Jay Crowder? That would work money-wise. Would Utah still do that? Or get rid of the first-round pick altogether here, maybe send Jay Crowder elsewhere to a team that might want him. I could see, what if we sent Jay Crowder to the Kings, and then the Kings sent Richaun Holmes to Utah, since they do kind of need a center. Rashawn's not young, but he's super cheap. I like this deal, though. I just think it's a hair too much for Phoenix to give up, even though, again, Crowder's an expiring contract, and you don't expect your first-round pick to be all that good. Love the idea here, though. Next one up is Patrick Beverley to the Lakers. This one's gained some traction around the internet in recent weeks. Beverley to the Lakers for Talon Horton-Tucker and Max Christie. I'm just wondering if this is enough for Utah. They would have to be really intrigued by Talon Horton-Tucker, who feels like he's smaller, he's super long, and there's like this oddity to his offensive game. He doesn't space the floor, but he's hit some turnaround jumpers, and he's flashed some really good finishing around the rim. And again, defensively, he should be more, I don't want to say more versatile, but more impactful than he is. The versatility is there. It just doesn't feel like he always leaves his imprint on the game. He has 2 years left on his deal, younger than Patrick Beverley, who's on an expiring contract. You do get a flyer here on Max Christie from the Lakers. That's fine. A 2022 second-round pick is basically what it amounts to. So, look, THT is really young at 21. I think you probably need another second in here, maybe even if you're keeping Max Christie. There needs to be sort of the element of mystery, I think, to get the Jazz to consider this. I don't think another team is going to give up a first for Beverley, so that's not what the Lakers are competing with. And so there are certainly more damaging contracts that you could get back than THT, but just with that extra year on his deal, and I'm not even sure how much the Jazz actually want him, I think you need to include just like a distant second-round pick, and the Lakers have traded away some of their second-round picks already, so you're looking at a distant one anyway. There's also the possibility that the Jazz use Beverley's expiring deal as an anchor in another trade where they're taking back worse money than a THT, but they're still getting better draft equity. I like the idea of Beverley in LA, though, even if Russ Westbrook is still there. He's a good alternative for closing games just because he's a better defender than Russ, even if I think he's overrated on that end of the floor. But he plays off the ball really well. Had a sort of a down 3-point shooting season last year, but he can hit spot up threes, and he can attack in open space as well. Not as explosive as Russ, but there's less variance to his offensive game, which is a good thing after we watched Russ last year. And you could theoretically play those two together as well if you're going to keep Russ into next season. I like this. I think the Lakers probably need to give up a little bit more, though. I just might be lower on THT than the consensus. Kevin Durant to the Pelicans. Sign me all the way up for this. Pelicans fans have pushed back against me in my DMs, the YouTube comments. I don't care. I love the idea of Durant on the Pelicans if he's willing to go to New Orleans. The deal, KD for Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2025 first-round pick coming from Milwaukee, and a 2027 first-round pick. I think this is a fair deal. So I want to make that clear. The Nets apparently want an all-star and then like 80 draft picks. They're going to have to pick one side of the fence at some point. Either they're going to prioritize draft equity or you're getting a current or potentially future all-star. You're not getting both. It's just Kevin Durant going into his age 34 season, has a ton of time left on his deal, but he's missed a bunch of games over the past 3 years, including that Achilles injury he suffered before he even signed with the Nets. And then also, if you're the Pelicans, we have to evaluate this deal in real time. You don't know that KD wants to be in New Orleans. And so, yeah, the idea of him with Zion and CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, you have Trey Murphy III still in New Orleans after this, you're going to be a fantastic team. Dyson Daniels still there. But if KD hasn't put the Pelicans on his short list, you might not want to give up this much. I think what needs to happen here, and if Kevin Durant, he should open his list, and I think New Orleans should be on it because they would be a bona fide title contender with him and CJ and Zion. What I'm trying to do, and I know this can romanticize the situation for New Orleans, I'm trying to keep Brandon Ingram and include more draft equity here. I would be willing to give up Trey Murphy III, Dyson Daniels, and more first-round picks. You have that Lakers first-round pick, 2024. You could defer it to 2025. Ton of flexibility there. That's a major asset. You have all of your own first-round picks in addition to that, and you have some distant Milwaukee picks beyond that 2025 first-round pick, I believe. So I would try and structure it as, and look, you can get to the matching salary while keeping CJ, Ingram, Zion. Maybe it costs you Jonas Valanciunas. I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but you would use Graham, who I think he could have a bounce-back year next season, and even if he doesn't, he can still hit threes off the catch, and his deal's not that atrocious. He doesn't make a ton of money. So you have him, Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, Trey Murphy III. You also have Jonas Valanciunas' salary if you want to go that route as well. So you get to the money there, and I think you include Trey Murphy III and Dyson Daniels here, and then every single first-round pick basically that it takes to get KD so you can keep him, and all of a sudden you're looking at let's envision this closing lineup. It's not going to have a traditional point guard, but it doesn't need to. Kevin Durant, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, Zion Williamson, Herb Jones. I just got chills. That might be one of the best lineups in the NBA, bar none. I'm not even kidding. Let's also not forget that the Pelicans have Kyrie Lewis Jr. as well. He is working his way back from a torn ACL, but he's incredibly fast. And if he still has that burst, maybe the Nets value him a little bit. There's Jose Alvarado too. That could be sort of a nifty throw-in. I actually think low-key, the Pelicans have the ability to trade for Kevin Durant if they want to without giving up Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum. How about, maybe I should do a separate video on that. I like this deal for the Pelicans, but I'm not giving up Brandon Ingram unless KD says he wants to be in New Orleans long-term. Otherwise, you risk him wanting out in a year. Kyrie to the Lakers. There's always a Kyrie to the Lakers deal. Russ, Kendrick Nunn, and a 2026 first-round pick for Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris. So this deal actually can't be done because of the Lakers' pick commitment to New Orleans. They could negotiate with the Pelicans to say, hey, if you take our 2024 pick, what can we give you so that you're not deferring to 2025? Then you can trade your 2026 first-round pick. Is one first-round pick enough to get Kyrie out of Brooklyn? I think you need to include a second, especially if you're getting Joe Harris, who is coming back from ankle surgery, but he is really, really good. And the Nets can save, like, this doesn't even save the Nets a ton of money in the short term. It saves them some in the longer term because you're getting out from under the final 2 years of Harris's deal. You're still giving up by far and away the best player in this. I think one way to structure it would be, can you get New Orleans to not defer the pick to 2025, and then you give up a 2026 first, and then maybe a swap in a different year, 2027 or 2029. So you're sort of still leaving yourself with a first-round pick, but there's a swap. That feels like the bare minimum. If I'm the Nets, I'm also not looking to trade Joe Harris. Whether I'm rebuilding, trying to remain competitive, I just think that he fits. Overall, this price tag, I think there needs to be one more first-round pick for the Lakers to get Kyrie. And if maybe it's a swap, or maybe it's just 2 first-round picks outright, I would do that if I'm the Lakers. Even if the Nets insist on 2 firsts, 2 tangible firsts, I would do it. I know there's risk with Kyrie, but you have LeBron there. And look, there are worse situations to be in. Even if you think that LeBron ends up leaving in free agency next year, or he signs a 1+1 and then leaves after that, you still have AD and Kyrie Irving. Like, that's a fair weather core to have. And Kyrie is going to re-sign with the Lakers next season. We've seen already this past summer that he doesn't have this huge market of teams interested in him. So I'm giving up that equity if I'm the Lakers. Conversely, if I'm the Nets and you can get 2 Lakers first-round picks, just do the deal. I know the Lakers have a tendency to figure things out, but you're getting these first-rounders that are past LeBron's prime, maybe even his tenure in LA, and also just hedging against a future where we've seen Kyrie Irving now submarine the direction of 3 teams. The way he left Cleveland, the way he left Boston, and then now whatever happened in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant's not requesting a trade if Kyrie Irving was available to play last season. James Harden's probably not requesting a trade if Kyrie Irving was fully available to play last season. So if I'm the Nets, I want one more first-round pick. I don't know if I'm giving up Joe Harris, but that's whatever details. I'm doing it for 2 firsts if I'm Brooklyn, and if I'm the Lakers, I'm doing it for 2 firsts as well. Final trade here. Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks, the one everyone's probably been waiting for. Donovan Mitchell goes to New York for Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, Obi Toppin, a 2023 first-round pick, another 2023 first-round pick, a 2025 first-round pick, and a 2027 first-round pick. I'm saying no if I'm the Knicks. I think you need to draw the line somewhere when you're giving up your own first-round equity, and giving up 3 unprotected first-round picks of your own in addition to Washington. I know this feels like it's on par with what the Timberwolves gave up for Rudy Gobert. It's really not, though, because you're more guaranteed. You already have 2 stars in place if you're Minnesota, Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. So you can say, okay, our 2023 and 2025 first, those are going to be a wash. The Knicks can't say that with any certainty. In 2023, I mean, maybe, sure, but in 2025, until they have another star in New York, they can't guarantee that they're going to be great. The other thing is, Minnesota didn't trade away anyone who was mission critical to their core. Jared Vanderbilt, a very nice player, but Rudy Gobert more than replaces him. Patrick Beverley, Malik Beasley, even Walker Kessler, who they just drafted, not viewed as core pieces, more complementary accessories. They gave up the extra draft equity to keep Jaden McDaniels. If you're going to give up this draft equity and you're New York, you need to be keeping Quentin Grimes and or Obi Toppin, because those are players who you view as part of your core. I know some people are saying, well, the Knicks aren't giving up RJ here. That's why you're forking over the extra draft equity. The Jazz don't want RJ. That's been very clear. He's extension eligible. They don't want to begin their rebuild by paying a boatload of money for someone who's about to probably get near max, or if not a max deal when he's in restricted free agency, or sign an extension for one. Obi Toppin, 2 years left on his rookie scale. Quentin Grimes, 3 years left on his rookie scale. Yes, you are taking back Fournier's deal here, but if you're going to also give up this much equity and core pieces and you're New York, there needs, like, Julius Randle needs to be going somewhere then here as well. I think if you want to use this framework and you're giving up this much of your, if you're giving up 3 unprotected picks of your own, and the Washington pick is protected until Kingdom Come, but it could convey, depending on the protections, it won't go higher than 9th. So the best pick you could be getting basically is like the 10th overall pick from them down the line. That's fine. I'm either, if I'm the Knicks, this is what I'm saying, I'm taking Quentin Grimes out and this deal is staying the same, or we'll include first round picks that are not ours. And then if I'm the Jazz, I'm going to push back and say, well, we want your draft picks. That's the entire point to do this deal. If you want New York's draft picks, then I think you only get one of Toppin, Grimes, and RJ. That's where I land from this perspective. And that's what's different with the Donovan Mitchell situation from Gobert, specifically with regard to the Knicks. And the other thing is, we know Donovan wants out of Utah and that a trade request will eventually come down the line. Gobert was never that type of risk, and he didn't have the cachet to demand to go someplace else. Part of why Minnesota gave up so much to get him, aside from the Jazz being willing to keep Gobert, is that they knew Gobert wanted to be there, and they could trust that. The Jazz can't do that. They can't trade a Donovan Mitchell to Indiana, and the Pacers trust that he wants to be there. He probably wants to be in Miami or New York, and so that definitely changes the complexion of this trade. So if I'm the Jazz, yes, I would do this deal if it's on the table. If I'm the Knicks, you can't give up 3 unprotected first-round picks of your own and then 2 of Grimes, Toppin, and RJ. That's where I ultimately land. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, hit the comments. It really helps us out. Even if you didn't like us, you can provide feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think about these trades, my thoughts about these trades. Follow us on all the socials. And until next time, as you'll learn, if you're a first-time viewer, I leave you with a shout-out to the one, the only, the indelible Frank Ntilikina.